Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to change your life, improve your income, strengthen your relationships, and expand your influence, then you must improve your communication skills. Communication is not just talking. Communication is influence, and influence determines the direction of your life. You can have brilliant ideas, but if you cannot express them clearly, they will remain trapped inside you. You can have great ambition, but if you cannot communicate your vision, no one will follow you. Communication is the bridge between your potential and your results. First, learn to listen. Most people listen with the intention to reply. Very few listen with the intention to understand. If you want to become powerful in communication, become powerful in listening. When you truly listen, you gather valuable information. You discover needs, desires, fears, and motivations. And once you understand people, you can connect with them. Communication begins with understanding, not speaking. Second, expand your vocabulary. Words are tools. The more tools you have, the more precise you can be. A limited vocabulary creates a limited life. When you improve your language, you improve your thinking. When you improve your thinking, you improve your decisions. And better decisions create a better future. Read books. Listen to great speakers. Study how successful people express themselves. You cannot speak beyond your knowledge. Third, practice clarity. Don't use big words to impress people. Use clear words to impact people. If people leave a conversation confused, you have failed as a communicator. Simplicity is power. The most effective communicators make complex ideas simple. Remember this: if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Fourth, develop confidence. Communication is not only about what you say, it's how you say it. Your posture, your tone, your eye contact, your energy, they all speak before your words do. Confidence comes from preparation. The more you prepare, the more certain you feel, and certainty is contagious. Fifth, control your emotions. If you let anger speak, you will say things you regret. If you let fear speak, you will shrink your message. Discipline your emotions. Pause before responding. Thoughtful communication builds respect. Emotional reactions destroy trust. And finally, practice daily. Communication is a skill, and skills improve with repetition. Speak more, present more, engage more, encourage yourself. Evaluate yourself. Ask for feedback. Growth does not come from wishing. It comes from working. Here's the truth. Your income is largely determined by your ability to communicate. Your leadership depends on your ability to communicate. Your relationships survive on your ability to communicate. If you want more opportunity, become better at expressing your value. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Improve your communication, and you improve your future. Success is not just about what you know. It's about how well you can share what you know. And that, my friends, can change everything. If you truly want to improve your communication skills, you must begin with something most people overlook: listening. Not casual listening, not half-hearted listening. I'm talking about disciplined, intentional listening. You see, most people don't listen to understand. They listen to respond. While the other person is talking, they are already preparing their answer. They are waiting for their turn. And in doing so, they miss the message. They miss the meaning. They miss the opportunity. Communication is not a competition. It is a connection. When you learn to listen properly, you gain an extraordinary advantage. Because every person you meet carries information about themselves, about the market, about opportunity, about problems that need solutions. If you are not listening, you are missing clues that could change your business, your relationships, even your future. Listening builds trust, and trust is the foundation of influence. Think about it. Who do you feel comfortable around? The person who talks endlessly about themselves, or the person who genuinely pays attention when you speak? The one who nods, maintains eye contact, and asks thoughtful questions. The second one wins every time. Why? Because listening makes people feel valued. And when people feel valued, they open up. And when they open up, you learn. Successful people ask more questions than they give answers. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's wisdom. Instead of rushing to impress, they seek to understand. They understand that knowledge gathered is power earned. Now, let me tell you something important. Listening requires patience. And patience is rare. We live in a world of interruptions. Phones buzzing, notifications flashing, minds wandering. But powerful communicators train themselves to be present. They eliminate distractions. They focus completely on the person in front of them. Presence is powerful. When someone speaks to you, give them the gift of your full attention. Put the phone down, turn your body toward them, look them in the eye. These simple actions communicate respect before you even say a word. And here is something else. Listening helps you control your emotions. Many arguments begin not because of disagreement, but because of misunderstanding. Someone speaks. The other person assumes. The reaction comes before clarification. And suddenly, conflict appears. But if you slow down and truly listen, not just to the words, but to the tone and intention, you respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally. That's leadership. You cannot lead people you do not understand. And you cannot understand people you do not listen to. Listening also sharpens your judgment. When you gather enough information before making a decision, your decisions improve. Poor listeners make quick assumptions. Good listeners gather facts. Great listeners observe patterns. And wise decisions build successful lives. Remember this, every person knows something you don't. If you approach conversations with curiosity instead of ego, you grow. If you approach conversations thinking you already know everything, you shrink. Humility fuels learning. And listening is one of the purest forms of humility. Let me give you a practical idea. In your next conversation, speak less than the other person. Ask open-ended questions. Say things like, tell me more about that. Or, what do you think caused that? Watch what happens. People will expand. They will share deeper insights. And you will walk away richer in knowledge. You see, communication is not about dominating the room. It is about understanding the room. Another powerful habit is reflective listening. Repeat key ideas back in your own words. So what you're saying is, this does two things. First, it ensures you understood correctly. Second, it shows the other person that you care enough to clarify. That builds credibility. And credibility builds opportunity. In business, the best negotiators listen carefully before they make an offer. In relationships, the strongest bonds form when both parties feel heard. In leadership, loyalty grows when people believe their voice matters. Listening is not weakness. It is strength under control. It takes strength to stay silent when you want to interrupt. It takes discipline to hold back your opinion until the right moment. It takes confidence to allow someone else the spotlight. But when you master this, your words carry more weight because you speak with insight. And here's the final thought. When you improve your listening, you improve your influence naturally. You don't have to force authority. You don't have to demand respect. People will seek your opinion because they feel understood by you. Work on this daily, in meetings at home, with friends, with strangers. Treat every conversation as practice. Evaluate yourself afterward. Did you interrupt? Did you drift mentally? Or did you truly listen? Success is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in disciplined habits. And listening is one of those habits. If you want to become more persuasive, more respected, more effective, start by becoming a better listener. Because the person who understands people always has the advantage. And that advantage can change your entire future. If you want to improve your communication skills, you must make a serious commitment to improving your vocabulary and expanding your knowledge. Words are not just sounds that fill the air. Words are tools. And the quality of your tools determines the quality of your results. A carpenter with dull tools struggles to build something remarkable. In the same way, a person with limited vocabulary struggles to express powerful ideas. When you cannot find the right words, you cannot transfer the right meaning. And if meaning is not transferred, communication has failed. Here is something important. Your vocabulary shapes your thinking. The words you know determine the thoughts you can form. If your language is limited, your thinking becomes limited. But when you expand your vocabulary, you expand your mental capacity. You begin to think more precisely, and precision in thought leads to precision in action. That is how growth happens. One of the greatest investments you can ever make is in your own education, not just formal education, but self-education. Read books, listen to lectures, study great communicators. Pay attention to how they construct their sentences, how they tell stories, how they use metaphors to make complex ideas simple. You cannot speak beyond your knowledge, and you cannot share what you have not learned. Successful people are constant students. They read daily. They feed their mind with quality information. They understand that income rarely exceeds personal development. If you want your influence to increase, your knowledge must increase first. Now let me tell you something powerful. Words carry emotional weight. The difference between a good communicator and a great communicator often lies in word choice. One word can inspire courage. Another word can create fear. One phrase can motivate action. Another phrase can cause hesitation. That's power. When you improve your vocabulary, you gain access to more precise language. Instead of saying, things are bad, you can say, we are facing temporary challenges. Notice the difference. The first statement sounds hopeless. The second sounds manageable. Words shape perception, and perception shapes reality. If you want to become influential, become intentional with your language, here's a simple habit: replace weak words with strong ones. Instead of saying, I'll try, say, I will. Instead of saying maybe, say, let's decide. Weak language creates weak commitment. Strong language builds confidence, both in yourself and in others, and confidence attracts opportunity. Expanding your vocabulary also improves your credibility. When you can explain ideas clearly and intelligently, people trust you more. They assume you are informed. They assume you are prepared. And in many situations, perception opens doors before results do. But remember, this is not about using complicated words to impress people. It's about clarity and depth. Big words without understanding create confusion. The goal is not complexity. The goal is effectiveness. The more you read, the more you expose yourself to structured thinking. Books teach you how ideas flow from one point to another. They teach you how arguments are built. They show you how powerful communicators persuade without forcing. Reading is mental exercise. And just like the body grows stronger with physical exercise, the mind grows sharper with intellectual exercise. Let me give you a challenge. Read at least 10 pages a day. In 1 year, that's over 3,000 pages. Imagine how much richer your vocabulary will become. Imagine how many ideas you'll be able to share. Small daily disciplines create massive long-term results. Also, keep a notebook of powerful phrases. When you hear a strong sentence in a speech or read one in a book, write it down, study it. Understand why it works. Over time, you'll develop your own style. Knowledge gives you substance. Vocabulary gives you delivery. Together, they create impact. Another benefit of expanding your knowledge is confidence in conversation. When you understand multiple subjects, business, leadership, psychology, philosophy, you can engage in meaningful discussions. You don't shrink in rooms filled with intelligent people. You contribute. And contribution builds respect. You see, communication is not just about talking. It's about adding value. And you cannot add value if you have nothing valuable to say. Invest in learning about human nature. Learn about economics. Learn about success principles. Study history. The more you understand the world, the more connections you can make in conversation. And people admire those who can connect ideas in practical ways. Here's something else. Avoid careless language. Gossip weakens credibility. Complaining weakens influence. Negative words create negative atmospheres. Discipline your speech. Speak solutions, not problems. Speak possibilities, not limitations. Your language reveals your mindset. If your words are constantly filled with doubt and fear, people will sense insecurity. But if your words are filled with clarity and purpose, people will sense leadership. Remember this, communication skill is not an accident. It is built intentionally. It is built through study, observation, and practice. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Improve your vocabulary. Strengthen your knowledge base. Read more than the average person. Think deeper than the average person. And speak with intention. Because when you can clearly express your ideas, you increase your influence. When you increase your influence, you increase your opportunities. And when opportunities increase, your life changes. Words build civilization. Words inspire revolutions. Words build businesses. Words heal relationships. And words used wisely can transform your future. Make it your goal to become a student of language and a student of life. Feed your mind daily. Sharpen your tools consistently. And watch how your communication and your results begin to rise to a whole new level. If you truly want to improve your communication skills, then you must learn to speak with clarity and confidence. Because it is not enough to have knowledge. It is not enough to have good intentions. If your message is confusing, uncertain, or weak in delivery, it will not move people. Clarity is power. When your message is clear, people understand you quickly. When people understand you quickly, they trust you more easily. And when trust is established, influence begins. Many people believe that sounding intelligent means using complex language. But sophistication does not impress nearly as much as simplicity. In fact, the most powerful communicators in the world have mastered the art of making complicated ideas simple. They don't speak to show how much they know. They speak to make sure others understand. If you confuse, you lose. Think about leadership for a moment. A leader must give direction. Direction must be specific. If a leader says, do better, that is vague. But if a leader says, increase productivity by 15% in the next 30 days by improving daily discipline, that is clear. Clarity removes doubt. And when doubt disappears, action increases. That is why you must discipline yourself to organize your thoughts before you speak. Don't just talk to fill silence. Think first. Ask yourself, what is my main point? What do I want this person to understand? What action do I want them to take? When you speak with structure, your message carries authority. Now let's talk about confidence. Confidence in communication is not arrogance. It is certainty. It is the calm belief in what you are saying. And confidence is developed through preparation. The reason many people lack confidence when speaking is because they are not prepared. They hope their ideas will come together while they are talking. Sometimes they do. Often they don't. Preparation eliminates hesitation. If you are giving a presentation, rehearse it. If you are having an important conversation, think it through beforehand. When you prepare your words, your mind relaxes. And when your mind relaxes, your voice becomes steady. Remember this, your body speaks before your mouth does. Your posture communicates confidence or insecurity. Stand upright. Keep your shoulders back. Maintain eye contact. When you look people in the eye, you communicate sincerity and courage. When you look down constantly, you signal doubt. Your tone matters just as much as your words. A strong message delivered in a weak tone loses impact. Speak clearly. Avoid mumbling. Slow down your pace. When you rush, you appear nervous. When you pause intentionally, you appear thoughtful. Silence can be powerful. A well-timed pause gives weight to your words. It allows your message to settle in the minds of others. It also gives you control of the conversation. People who fear silence often speak too much. But confident communicators are comfortable with pauses. Another important principle is eliminating unnecessary words. Words like maybe, kind of, and I guess weaken your authority. They dilute your message. Replace them with decisive language. Speak with intention. Instead of saying, I think this might work, say, this will work. Notice the difference. One invites doubt. The other invites belief. But here is something critical. Confidence must be backed by integrity. If you exaggerate or speak beyond your knowledge, people will eventually detect it. True confidence comes from alignment between what you know, what you say, and what you believe. Clarity also requires emotional control. If you allow frustration, anger, or anxiety to dominate your voice, your message becomes distorted. Even a good idea can sound harsh if delivered emotionally. Discipline your emotions before you speak. When you are calm, your words are stronger. Let me share something important. The goal of communication is not to win arguments. It is to transfer understanding. Sometimes you can speak loudly and still not be heard. Why? Because shouting is not clarity. Emotion is not structure. Volume is not influence. Influence comes from precision and composure. Practice explaining complex ideas in simple terms. If you cannot explain something simply, study it again until you understand it clearly. Mastery shows itself in simplicity. The more deeply you understand something, the easier it becomes to express. Another powerful exercise is recording yourself when you speak. Listen to your tone. Observe your pace. Identify weak phrases. Improvement begins with awareness. What you measure, you can improve. Confidence also grows through repetition. The more you speak publicly, the less fear you feel. The more conversations you initiate, the more natural it becomes. Courage grows with use. Avoiding communication does not reduce fear. It increases it. Step forward. Volunteer to speak. Share your ideas. Even if you feel nervous at first, do it anyway. Action builds confidence. And remember, people are drawn to certainty. In uncertain times, they look for voices that are calm and clear. If you can be that voice, your value increases. Your opportunities expand. Clarity and confidence together create leadership presence. People will not only hear you, they will follow you. Work on your message. Refine your delivery. Strengthen your posture. Control your tone. Remove weak language. Practice daily. These are small disciplines, but they create powerful results. Because when your words are clear and your voice is confident, you don't just communicate, you command attention. And when you command attention, you command opportunity. And that can transform your entire future. If you want to master communication, you must learn two powerful disciplines: emotional control and consistent practice. These two separate amateurs from professionals. Anyone can speak when they feel good. Anyone can communicate calmly when things are easy. But true skill reveals itself under pressure. Your emotions are powerful servants, but dangerous masters. When you allow anger to speak for you, it often says things your wisdom would never approve. When fear speaks for you, it shrinks your message. When pride speaks for you, it damages relationships. Emotional reactions may feel natural, but they are rarely productive. Maturity in communication begins with pause. Before you respond, breathe. Before you react, think. Give your mind time to catch up with your feelings. That small pause can save friendships, careers, and opportunities. A few seconds of discipline can prevent years of regret. You see, words once spoken cannot be taken back. Apologies may soften the damage, but they cannot erase the memory. That is why disciplined communicators choose their words carefully, especially in moments of tension. Leadership requires emotional stability. If you are easily offended, easily angered, or easily discouraged, your communication becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability weakens trust. People feel safe around those who are steady. They respect those who respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings. It means managing them. It means acknowledging frustration, but choosing patience. It means recognizing fear, but choosing courage. It means feeling anger, but responding with clarity instead of chaos. The strongest person in the room is often the calmest. When conflict arises, listen first. Let the other person finish completely. Most arguments escalate because both sides are trying to speak at the same time. When you allow someone to fully express themselves, tension decreases. People calm down when they feel heard. Then respond with intention, not intensity. Lower your tone instead of raising it. Slow your pace instead of rushing. Ask questions instead of making accusations. These small adjustments shift the entire direction of a conversation. Remember, communication is not about proving you are right. It is about finding what is right. Now let's talk about consistency. Communication is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. You cannot expect excellence without repetition. Musicians practice scales daily. Athletes train constantly. Why should communicators expect mastery without effort? Practice in small moments. Every conversation is training. Every meeting is rehearsal. Every discussion is development. Don't wait for a big stage to sharpen your skill. Use daily life as your classroom. Speak up in meetings. Share your thoughts in discussions. Ask thoughtful questions. The more you engage, the stronger you become. Confidence grows through repetition. Clarity improves with use. Evaluate yourself regularly. After important conversations, ask yourself, did I interrupt? Did I stay calm? Was my message clear? Self-reflection accelerates growth. If you are willing to correct yourself, you will improve faster than those who blame others. Another powerful habit is seeking feedback. Ask trusted friends or colleagues how you communicate. Be open to correction. Growth requires humility. Sometimes we are unaware of habits that weaken our impact. Speaking too fast, using filler words, appearing distracted. Honest feedback reveals blind spots. Consistency also means aligning your words with your actions. If you speak about discipline but act carelessly, your credibility suffers. If you promise action but fail to deliver, your communication loses strength. Integrity reinforces your message. When your life matches your language, people believe you. Reputation is built through consistent behavior. Emotional control and consistent practice together create reliability. People know what to expect from you. They know you will respond calmly. They know you will communicate clearly. That predictability builds respect, and respect opens doors. In business, the person who stays composed under pressure often rises to leadership. In families, the person who communicates calmly strengthens relationships. In friendships, the person who responds thoughtfully builds trust. Let me tell you something important. Progress may feel slow at first. You may still stumble. You may still say something you regret. But improvement is not about perfection. It is about progress. Commit to getting a little better every day. Replace reaction with reflection. Replace impulse with intention. Replace inconsistency with discipline. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. Conversations become smoother. Conflicts decrease. Opportunities increase. People begin seeking your perspective because you communicate with balance and wisdom. That is not luck. That is practice. You don't become an excellent communicator overnight. You become one through daily effort, emotional discipline, and repeated action. Small improvements compound. Just like investing money creates financial growth, investing in your communication creates relational and professional growth. And here is the reward. When you master your emotions and commit to consistent practice, your words gain power. They carry weight. They inspire confidence. They build bridges instead of walls. Work on yourself daily. Guard your emotions carefully. Practice your speech intentionally, because the ability to stay calm and communicate clearly under any circumstance is not just a skill. It is a competitive advantage. And that advantage can elevate every area of your life.